Hello, my name is Arturo Soriano. My pronouns are he, him, his. Welcome to Victorious Voices. We are fortunate and glad to have Robert Almada present here today. How you feeling, Robert?
And Arturo, thank you very much for first of all. And I'm feeling. Let's see, how am I feeling today? I'm actually really excited being here right now and talking to you in this little space here, man. So, how are you feeling?
I feel content, motivated. I've been working on myself for the last couple of weeks and going to therapy and just trying to be the best husband I could be, best father, and that's rejuvenating my process. I'm more motivated at work and definitely motivated for being here today and
Right.
our subject, which is going to be the art of mentorship. But before we get to that, our saying for the day is motivation is not a gift, it's a habit.
Mm.
And you're a prime example of that, being motivated, how you connect with individuals, youth individuals, and families. What type of work do you do, Robert?
Well, for the most part, it's mentoring, but it's more than mentoring. It's going to be a little bit more deep ratio than that. It's going to be where um, motivating. Um, Trying to find a way for other people to find their ways and being creative about that. I mean, being a car salesman back in the days, it was kind of like you're finding a car for the person's lifestyle. Now you're trying to find a lifestyle for the person that wants to live right. So it's kind of a combination of those two. So that's, I don't know if that's even kind of,
That's a great analogy right there.
yeah,
I love it. It's
yeah,
just different perspectives, right?
yeah.
And so I know you go into East Mesa Detention Facility, Vista County Jail, George Bailey. Can you tell me of a story on how your mentorship and individualized support supported a individual?
You know, it's funny you said, because even like for the title, it's like it's just trying to create a habit for yourself. And it's funny because one of my topics in East Mesa about 5 months ago, and East Mesa is being a youth detention facility. Um, One of my subjects, I just had lunch, or I'm sorry, maybe a breakfast with him and his mother. He came from Colorado back down to San Diego to visit some family members in Tijuana. But before he left back to Colorado, he says, Robert, I'm in town. I need to have breakfast with you. We need to talk. I said, oh, perfect. I get to see my mentee after a while, and then we had breakfast, and he goes, look, remember that conversation you were talking about? And it said building habits and how you have to be disciplined on yourself to create a new habit. And once it becomes a habit, you don't even have to even think about it. It's just you just created this habit of success. And he goes, what's always been in my mind, and now he says, my habit is I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, exercise, and then I get back on the internet. And then when the stock market opens, I start moving around the stock markets. And he goes, that just became a habit. Then I go to work my 9 to 5, come back and see what my stock market did. And he now today he showed me his profile. It's over $100,000
Wow.
that this kid has made, and he's 20 years old. Now he was looking at juvenile life. He was supposed to get out to when he's 25. Something happened. I guess they saw something in him. I guess, and they let him out. They gave him a chance. And just with that information, I mean, the story is this for me. It's like that's why we're doing this. And I get it's like a needle in a haystack. It seems sometimes, especially when you have a lot of we call it the
Opposition.
oppositions from other people. It's like sometimes they don't want you. They're scared of change,
Mm-hmm.
and just for us to just to be there, giving that trust factor, seeing what their life may look like, and having them change their own lifestyle by creating new habits.
Wow. So this was a kid that was part of East Mesa Detention Facility, and you were going there facilitating groups and building a relationship, building a rapport. Then he ended up re-entering back into the community, and now this is his habit.
This is his own new habit.
He's getting up at 3:30. Man, you know what? I need to connect with this kid, man. If he's making that much money, I'm in the
That's
wrong
what
business.
right? No, he's my mentor now. No, seriously, he's actually teaching me how to do it. Rob, this is how you do it. This is what I do, and he starts showing me.
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Wow. Wow. And mentorship for me it has different meanings. There's mentorships or mentors that are mentors on business level, right? They're going to mentor you and and guide you, and they want to see you succeed, put some structures in place. There's the mentor that has nothing attached, that's there for the people, whether it's a youth, an individual, a family member. It's just a guiding, a support system. And then there's mentors that there's something attached, right? And that attachment is, I'm going to help you, but I want you to help me. So it reciprocates back and forth. And then there's the mentor that like wants to see you be a spit image of him or her. So there's all these different mentors in this world. What type of mentor or what mentor has made an impact on your life?
Wow. That one is, if it's okay to use his name, but well, I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna just say it was a mentor in a car dealership. He was practically the number one salesman there ever was in that particular dealership or that industry at the time. And we're talking about 25 years ago, before internet. And he was so skill set. He was so professional in front of his customers. He had the same lingo. He was just had a flow about this gentleman. So I picked up whatever it is that he did. I mimicked everything he did. And then when him and I were like in sales, we're always competing against each other. But he didn't know that I really admired him. I really saw him as my role model. After completing that year, becoming salesman of the year for myself, and I'm not saying beat him in sales, but I practically did as far as number wise, with a half a car deal.
Wow.
for the titlement of salesman of the year. But after that, him and I came like really close. Like we bonded. He saw what I had, and he saw that I really wanted to strive harder, and he really just started pouring himself, doused himself in me, as far as his knowledge and his love, and he never expressed that with anyone else ever in the dealership. But he just really had, we had a father-son relationship. I never had that before.
Wow.
So, and then one time my father really did call me out of the blue. He had my phone number, and my friend was there, my mentor was there, and he picks up, he gives the phone, he goes, "Hey, I want to let you know that Robert's my son."
Wow.
He was like, yeah, he really meant this. So he really changed my life. That man right there changed the way it helped me out. And there was another mentor when I was younger too, though, when I was at the most, where I was at the high risk level. Now that mentor that I was telling you about before was like an adult level. He helped me get to the business areas in my life where I became successful, due to him. But the one that really helped me out was when I was incarcerated in juvenile hall. This person, I remember when I was in really a lot of trouble, and he saw that, and he even said, "Look, man, there's nothing worse than a stupid criminal." And I took offense to that. I remember how I felt when he said that. It was, "What do you mean? I'm not stupid. Well," he goes, and he says, "Look, study the very thing that you're breaking. You're breaking the law. Why don't you study that? Know what you're doing prior before you even doing it." And I really love that concept. I said, you know what? At the time, I was really intrigued with that. I said, yeah, imagine a criminal that knows the law. Imagine that. And how powerful that would really mean. And so I took that into my next mission. But I told him this. I said, "Man, but I have a problem." I told this guy, I said, I don't remember saying this, having this conversation with this guy. And I said, "Look, I have a problem. Every time I read something, I can't remember it." At the time, I couldn't even retain all the information that I'm reading. But the way I was speaking to him was, "I can't remember anything, man. How am I going to read?" And he said, "Look, study math." And it threw me off because I'm thinking, well, what does math have to do with reading? And he explained, he said, math opens another part of your brain that channels information. Your brain is mathematical. It wants to build things. It wants to fix things. It wants to, solve things. It wants to problem solve. Your brain is not English, Spanish, Russian. It's not that language. It's mathematical. And when he explained that to me, I really took a grab of that because I had F's in math. I couldn't stand it. Then I said, okay, well, then I started studying math. And I made that my topic. I started getting A's in math. Started getting A's in reading, 100% on my GED for reading. And then I also got a really good grades in history because I started channeling what the Aztec and the Mayans were about when it came to mathematics. And they didn't have your Harvard or Yale next door to the pyramids. They really had their own studies, though. And it was passed down from generation to generation, that these guys understand the concept of zero and how it repeats itself and how the zero keeps repeating itself over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So when I obtained that information, I got A's in history, math, reading, science. I started getting straight A's, and also in law. And because of that, I learned one thing, and I've always kept this as my life saying. It's going to be where, the best way to beat a case is not catching a case. So I got advanced where I'm like, okay, I got it now.
Mm.
I don't have to break the law in order to get by anymore. I don't. So that mentor helped me out with that part, man. And I'm teaching the kids some of the very same things about laws and their rights and what that looks like.
Wow. The code of conduct, the trauma-informed code of conduct. Like, these are code of conducts that a mentor should have, which is safety. They want to feel safe. Effective communication. When you communicate, they want it to be effective. They want somebody that's supportive, right? A supportive staff, a supportive mentor, and they want that individualized support. I've had many, many mentors in my life. Some on inspiration, on structure, on financial, strategically, on how to, right? And I've had, and you you get that when you're doing the right thing and moving forward in your journey, and you gravitate, and people want to help you, right? And it happens naturally. How do you feel when you go into the institution on the adult side? For me, I'm going to give an example of a individualized support, and the first time I went into an institution. I remember going into an adult institution in George Bailey's, and I had been George Bailey probably 15 years ago. So first, I'm nervous, just checking in, going in through the process of going to visit an individual. But I remember, like, I was in a fight or fight response. Like, my nervous system was going haywire, and I was sweating, like, because of that system induced trauma, because I was there 15, 17 years ago. And I remember following the line to get to the room to where I'm gonna have the professional visit. And because I had always been on the other side, but I put things in perspective following the yellow, blue, red line, where this is what my mother, my family, whoever's gonna go see me, had to go through. Mm-hmm. That process of just getting to the visit, that's a 2-3 hour process. That's a whole traumatic experience from itself, right? And so going through that process, that first time I went to the institution, it's how I felt. Once I was able to get and connect with the individual and show that individualized support, I felt more comfortable. I felt more at ease. Like, and then the first thing, like, I did with that, I vetted. I was like, look, I told them my story, and we're vetting to each other, supporting one another, right? And so I'm all about the individualized support for the population that we're serving at that 150%. And there's all these different narratives, but I'm gonna give one story where I was going to Las Colinas, and I was visiting this young lady that was being charged for first-degree murder. And when I went, I began to build rapport and building a relationship, and just supporting, and just really just hearing her out. And then we built that relationship on that mentorship, that concrete mentorship. And then I connected with the lawyer, the investigators, the team, and now we have to put a plan together for her trial that's coming up. So helping her read the discoveries, the preliminary transcripts. And so by me building that report on that individualized support motivated me now to putting in that 150% for that individual on the stand. The outcome was great. The first degree murder was dropped, and we hung on the second degree. And so, but that's what the individualized support for that individual, building a relationship that you're having with that person, could lead to. Um, so, supportive staff. What does that mean to you?
Supportive staff. I mean, it's just like what it says. It's getting support when you're giving support, and areas in the back end of the whole situation. I mean, that's something I'm learning too. and how the back end support really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Because you really, when you're in front of the kids, or when you're like, and when you have a client, let's just say like yourself. I mean, you're dealing with your own traumas. You're walking into a room that you're going to be facing a lot of fears, and overwhelmingly, you're going to get optimistic, from a lot of your clients sometimes. And it just happens to be that way because we're all human. We're testing people before we're going to give our trust. We want to make sure you can handle my worst. Because if you can handle this, then we're going to be, and then at the same time, you got so many other things going on behind the scenes. So you got to make sure you have the right people in gear, that they're doing the right things and being accountable. And we have to be accountable for each other. Yeah. So I think, yeah, you got to have that as far as organizational, especially in the mentorship aspects.
So the art of mentorship could mean many different things. But the attributes and the characteristics that a mentor should have is that effective communication, supportive staff, individualized support, and mentees, they want to feel safe. Once you're able to like create that safe space for them, then the rapport begins. All you need, even if you don't have a mama, you don't have a daddy, you don't have a grandpa, you don't have no family, you have no family. All you need is that one caring adult that's going to be there for you and support you in your process. And where you need that support, that caring adult is going to be there for you. And that's a mentor or a friend, a navigator. Name it what you want, but all you need in life is that one caring adult.
So let me ask you something real quick. And as far as, Arturo, we've known each other for many years, and I know there's been a lot of, gaps in those years that I've known you. And I know you're facing a lot of traumas too, as far as, even today, we talk about certain things that affect us. Even when when you go down to, the courthouse or whatever it is, and you put yourself in that situation, how did it feel for you? What was your energy like when you were actually in those areas?
Whew. It's a matter of, in them situations, it's a matter of life or death for them individuals. Like, the life is like, they're going to reenter back into the community, or they might be facing life sentences. And so the first time that I took the stand, I remember I needed a support system. And so who did I take? I brought my mother with me. Yeah, I brought my mother with me, just so I could feel supported and grounded. And I remember taking the stand, and my nervous system was going haywire. Like, the sweat, like I could feel it, like just pouring. My back was wet. And, like I did the expert testimony and everything, and the lawyer is asking all the questions. I'm responding. And then the DA comes. And when the DA comes, like hovering over me, like with like hard, direct questions, and not only like his presence, but the way that they're communicating with you is bold, it's strong in a way to break you. So you get nervous. So even though I felt it, I was shaky, my knees were like, buckling. I didn't show it, right? And so that was my first experience. And so now I use strategies and tactics where, like, I'll breathe in, I'll breathe out. Like, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collective. If a DA has, like, it's gonna ignite something, a question, a statement, to really like get my energy like out of whack. If I get nervous, which is natural, I take a cup of water with me. And then if I'm feeling that certain way, I'll take a drink. I'll take my break. I'll put the cup back down. Then boom. So it's a skill that like you have to build
and develop. Yeah.
And develop.
Now, get you. I mean, the DA been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing. So it's not like it's a practice for him every single day. It's not, you don't do this every day, or nor do all of us going to court do this thing, but he does. He has all the training, so what really helped you face this was the information. The information
and the experience.
The experience, yeah.
It's the experience. It's the information, the education, and the experience,
The breathing techniques,
the breathing
all these
techniques.
things that we even talk to our own clients. We tell them all the time about how to kind of like bring yourself back into a peaceful mindset,
Yes,
into,
yes.
wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then like telling everything through a story, through a narrative, right? Like you're speaking through a narrative,
Mhm.
and so I have no problem myself telling my story of what I've been through and what we're doing here at Youth Empowerment, the mentorship, the guidance, and then my personal journey on the experience of the unhealthy lifestyles, because that's we're telling the jury the truth, right? In that process. And juries love to hear narrative story forms so they could understand it, because a lot of the witnesses that come to the stand, they don't understand it, they can't comprehend it. So we need to like tell the story in a narrative form. So we're there for these individuals on that level, on a mentorship level, and representing these individuals that have murders, and one murders, two murders, and these are individuals that their family has given up hope on them, their community, now institutions, now systems. And by you going in there and communicating and bringing some life into them, speaking life into them, rejuvenates them. That one narrative you told me, like the first uh, mentorship that you had with the individual that was going to get sentenced already, and was already going to get life, and
Right.
was already feeling depressed and had no hope,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. I remember
But
my client. Yes, I know which one you're talking
but
about.
you
Yeah,
were able to go in there,
yeah. He's looking at 32 years. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And when you went in there and you start building the relationship, the rapport, and like start your process now, start getting your certificates now, and right, how did that individual feel?
I tell you, like you were just saying, it was like it's amazing because even though, hey, I'm going to tell you something. I would think that was one of my hardest subjects that I've had, trying to encourage them. Okay, but it was real. It was genuine. It was like authentic, and by me mentioning this to him, or just introducing the fact that he can change, and there's possibilities that he can even change others, and don't give up on yourself, and really believe in that, driving that. At the end of our session, I think we had like 5 sessions. Man, this individual really did. He got it. He obtained. Even his attorney was mentioning this. The DA even saw a change in his demeanor when he had apologized to the victims' families for what he had did. Was so authentic that the judge even said, "I don't think I've seen a good apology like that in a long time."
Wow.
And that right there, just to give the victims their peace and closure of what they've lost, and then having the person understand the depths of his pain that he has caused. Really, he owned the situation where he owned what he did wrong. He feels bad about that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what encouraged him to change, because he knows he's better than that.
Wow.
And so now he's looking, I guess, looking forward to learning this new curriculum. In fact, it's funny because even when he goes at the very end, I think I went to go visit him after his sentencing just because I wanted to see him, and we both talked a little while, and he goes, "Hey, this stuff that you're teaching me, is it from the Bible?" I say, "You know what? I kind of is, because it's about the healing, it's about the forgiveness, it's about a story,
Mm.
and your story isn't over yet either." And he was like, "Oh, I've never read the Bible before." And I've said, "Well, I'm not teaching Bible, but there's a lot of healing that goes on in this book."
Mm.
So I was able to introduce him to that Bible.
Yeah.
And then the stories and the narratives about healing and forgiveness and all these stories too. And it's not just about those morals. It's a foundation of change.
Wow.
So I was able to introduce that to him. So I can't imagine what would happen after he reads that. So
Wow.
he's already intrigued. And it's funny because I slipped that right underneath his, in the space there.
And this is the individual. What did he get sentenced to? He got a life term.
Yeah,
right?
he got
Like,
life. Yeah.
yeah.
He picked up a new charge as he was getting sentenced for another one.
Wow.
He picked up a new charge
Yeah.
that added 16 years on top of his 10-year sentence.
So wow.
So-
Why? Because he was hopeless, mad, angry, depressed, isolated, and
Yeah.
you were able to go in there and provide that hope, that inspiration, even with the life term, right? This is still what you could do. So Thank you, Robert. Thank you for
My
sharing.
pleasure, man.
And we're going to do a checkout for Victorious Voices. How do you feel now?
I feel relieved. I feel feeling confident. I'm feeling motivated, and I feel. You know what? I'll tell you what. I really feel. I feel happy, genuinely happy about what we're doing, what I'm doing, and how much it's actually changed me to be in this organization like this. It's really changed me a whole. It's when I used to be a car salesman, it was all about me and how many, cars I could sell. Now it's like me and a group of people and see how many lives we could change, and for the positive aspects of it. And I think it just reached my pinnacle of my life, and I'm gonna do this until I'm done, until God calls me home. So thank you, Arturo, for letting me be a part of this, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. And so, community, if you're experiencing some type of trauma, you need some support. Like I was saying earlier, like all you need in this life is that one caring adult. Just reach out to somebody. Reach out to Youth Empowerment. If we don't have the resource for you, then we could do our very best to find the resource for you. So thank you. Love y'all. We'll be back. Peace.